It's 2026, and you're more distracted than ever before. You wake up, reach for your phone, and before your feet even hit the floor, you've scrolled through 47 Instagram reels. You sit down to work on that project that actually matters, and somehow you've fallen down a rabbit hole watching AI-generated content about celebrity gossip. You promise yourself you'll finally start that side business, learn that new skill, finish that course, but by 8 p.m., you're exhausted from doing absolutely nothing meaningful. Sound familiar? Here's the brutal truth. 2026 isn't just another year. It's the year where AI can do your job better than you, where algorithms know what you want before you do, where your attention span has shrunk to 8.25 seconds, shorter than a goldfish. We're living in the age of infinite distraction, and it's literally rewiring your brain to fail. But what if I told you there's an ancient Japanese technique that can reverse this? It's 2026, and you're more distracted than ever before. You wake up, reach for your phone, and before your feet even hit the floor, you've scrolled through 47 Instagram reels. You sit down to work on that project that actually matters, and somehow you've fallen down a rabbit hole watching AI-generated content about celebrity gossip. You promise yourself you'll finally start that side business, learn that new skill, finish that course, but by 8 p.m., you're exhausted from doing absolutely nothing meaningful. Sound familiar? Here's the brutal truth. 2026 isn't just another year. It's the year where AI can do your job better than you, where algorithms know what you want before you do, where your attention span has shrunk to 8.25 seconds, shorter than a goldfish. We're living in the age of infinite distraction, and it's literally rewiring your brain to fail. But what if I told you there's an ancient Japanese technique that can reverse this? A method so powerful that it helped a struggling college dropout become a tech entrepreneur worth millions. A practice so effective that neuroscientists at Stanford now recommend it over any productivity app. This technique is called Ichigyo-Zammai, and by the end of this video, you'll understand why it's the only weapon you need to dominate 2026. Before we dive in, I want to give a massive thank you to everyone who's joined our community this month. Your messages about how these videos have changed your lives keep me going. And to everyone watching, I have a question for you. Drop it in the comments right now. What's stealing your attention in 2026? Is it your phone, TikTok, that voice in your head telling you you're not good enough? Comment below, because your answer matters. Now, let me tell you about Marcus. Chapter 1. The Breaking Point. Marcus Chen was 23 years old on New Year's Day 2026, and he was absolutely terrified. He dropped out of college 2 years earlier, not because he was stupid. Marcus had a 3.7 GPA in computer science. He dropped out because he couldn't finish anything. He'd start a coding project and abandon it halfway through. He'd begin an online course and never watch past video 3. He'd commit to building an app and get distracted by the next shiny idea. His parents were immigrants from Taiwan. They worked 16-hour days at their restaurant so Marcus could have opportunities they never had. And what did he do with those opportunities? He scrolled, he consumed, he dreamed, but never executed. His father barely spoke to him anymore. The disappointment was too heavy to put into words. His friends had all moved on. They had careers, apartments, lives. Meanwhile, Marcus was living in his childhood bedroom, doing freelance gigs that barely paid rent, watching everyone else win while he stayed stuck. But here's what destroyed him the most. It wasn't that he lacked ambition. Marcus had dreams that kept him awake at night. He wanted to build an AI-powered app that would help small businesses like his parents' restaurant compete in the digital age. He could see it so clearly in his mind, the interface, the features, the impact. The problem? Every time he sat down to work on it, his brain sabotaged him. He'd open his laptop, check Slack, browse Reddit, watch a 40-minute video essay about movies he'd never seen. Then he'd feel guilty, try to force himself to focus, manage maybe 15 minutes of work, and give up. By the end of each day, he'd done nothing, and the shame ate him alive. On January 3rd, 2026, Marcus hit rock bottom. His dad asked him a simple question over dinner. "Marcus, what did you accomplish today?" Marcus opened his mouth. Nothing came out. Because the honest answer was, "I spent 8 hours online and have absolutely nothing to show for it." His father just nodded. The silence was deafening. Then his dad said something that shattered him. "Your mother and we didn't sacrifice everything so you could waste your life staring at screens. We thought you were different." That night, Marcus couldn't sleep. He stared at the ceiling, tears running down his face. He was 23 and had nothing. No degree, no real job, no progress on his dreams, just an endless cycle of distraction and disappointment. And then he remembered something, a conversation he'd had months earlier with Mr. Yamamoto, the elderly man who ran the bookstore on the corner. Chapter 2: The Bookstore and the Old Man. Mr. Yamamoto was in his 70s, originally from Kyoto. He'd lived in the neighborhood for 40 years, running his small bookstore with a calm precision that Marcus had always admired. While every other business was chaotic and rushed, Mr. Yamamoto moved through his store like water, unhurried, deliberate, present. Marcus had gone into the bookstore months earlier, looking for a book on productivity. He was desperate for answers, even back then. Mr. Yamamoto had looked at him with those sharp, knowing eyes. "You want to be more productive?" "Yes," Marcus had said. "I can't focus. I start things and never finish them. I'm constantly distracted." The old man had smiled, not with pity, with recognition. "You're trying to do too many things at once. Your mind is scattered like leaves in the wind." "I know," Marcus admitted. "I just don't know how to fix it." The old man had pulled out a small piece of paper and written 2 words in beautiful calligraphy. Ichigyo-Zammai. Ichigyo-Zammai, he'd said. In your language, it means one practice samadhi. It's the art of complete absorption in a single action, not just focus, union. Marcus was confused. Like meditation? Like living, Mr. Yamamoto had corrected. The Zen masters teach that when you sweep the floor, you become the sweeping. When you pour tea, you become the pouring. There is no separation between you and the action. This is Ichigyo-Zammai. Marcus had thanked him, but honestly, he'd thought it sounded too simple, too mystical. He wanted tactics, hacks, systems, not philosophy. But now, months later, lying in his bed after the worst day of his life, Marcus finally understood. He didn't need more productivity apps. He needed to fundamentally change how he related to his attention.
The next morning, Marcus showed up at the bookstore right as it opened. Mr. Yamamoto looked up from arranging books, unsurprised. "You're ready now." "Teach me," Marcus said. "Please." Chapter 3: The Training Begins. Mr. Yamamoto didn't hand Marcus a book. He handed him a broom. "Sweep the floor," he said. Marcus blinked. "That's it?" "Sweep the floor with your complete attention. Every stroke of the broom, you are there. Your mind doesn't wander to what you'll do next or what happened yesterday. You are simply sweeping. Can you do that?" Marcus grabbed the broom. "Sure." He started sweeping. Within 30 seconds, his mind drifted. He thought about his app idea, then about a text he needed to respond to, then about what he'd eat for lunch. Mr. Yamamoto watched quietly. "Your mind has left the broom 4 times already." Marcus stopped, frustrated. "How do you know?" "Your movements became automatic, mechanical. When your mind is truly present, there is a quality to the action, a completeness. Try again." For the next 20 minutes, Marcus swept that floor. Every time his mind wandered, Mr. Yamamoto would gently say, "You've left the broom," and Marcus would bring his attention back. By the end, Marcus was exhausted, not physically, mentally. Keeping his attention on one simple task was harder than any code he'd ever written. This is the practice, Mr. Yamamoto explained. Ichigyo-Zammai isn't about forcing concentration. It's about training your mind to return, again and again. Every time you bring your wandering mind back to the present action, you're building a neural pathway. You're teaching your brain that you are in control, not the distractions. Over the next 2 weeks, Marcus came to the bookstore every morning. Mr. Yamamoto gave him simple tasks: organize books by subject, dust the shelves, make tea. Each task with one instruction: be completely present. At first, it was torture. Marcus's mind was a wild horse, constantly trying to run toward the next dopamine hit. But slowly, something shifted. The practice became easier. His mind wandered less, and when it did wander, he noticed faster. Then Mr. Yamamoto gave him the real challenge. Now apply this to your work, your app. Use Ichigyo-Zammai there. Marcus felt his stomach drop. How? Same principle. When you code, you become the code. When you design, you become the design. One task at a time, complete presence. No phone, no music, no other tabs open. Just you and the work, unified. What if I get distracted? You will, hundreds of times, and hundreds of times you'll notice and return. That's the practice.
Chapter 4. The System. Marcus went home that day and did something radical. He created an environment where distraction was nearly impossible. He removed every app from his phone except for calls and messages. He installed a website blocker that shut off all social media and entertainment sites during work hours. He bought a simple notebook and wrote down the one task he'd work on each session. Then he set a timer for 30 minutes, no interruptions, complete presence. The first session was hell. His brain screamed for stimulation. It threw every excuse at him. Check if you got any emails. Just quickly browse that forum. You need music to focus. But Marcus remembered Mr. Yamamoto's teaching. Notice the distraction, return to the work. He managed 12 minutes of true focus before the pull became too strong. He stopped, took a break, and tried again. Second session, 18 minutes of real work. Third session, 25 minutes. By the end of the first week, something miraculous happened. Marcus had made more progress on his app than he had in the previous 6 months combined. But here's what changed even more than his productivity. His anxiety disappeared. That constant background noise of "I should be doing something else" vanished. When he worked, he worked. When he rested, he rested. There was no more guilt bleeding between the two. He started applying Ichigyo-Zammai to everything. When he ate, he ate. No phone, no TV, just tasting the food. When he talked to his parents, he was fully there, not mentally rehearsing what he'd say next. When he walked, feeling his feet hit the ground, noticing the world around him. His parents noticed the change first. "Marcus, you're different," his mother said. "You're here with us now." His father, still cautious, just watched, waiting to see if this was another phase or real transformation. By March, Marcus had a working prototype of his app. By May, he'd landed his first client, a local restaurant owner who'd heard about the project. By July, he had 7 clients and was making more money than his freelance work had ever brought in. But it wasn't easy. There were days he slipped back into old patterns, days where distraction won. The difference was that now he had a practice to return to. Ichigyo-Zammai wasn't a magic pill. It was a daily discipline. Chapter 5. The Breaking Point Again. In August, Marcus faced his biggest test. A major investor showed interest in his app.
This was it, the meeting that could change everything. He needed to prepare a presentation, refine his demo, and create financial projections. The old Marcus would have panicked, would have scattered his attention across 1,000 tabs, trying to research everything at once, overwhelmed and paralyzed. But Marcus had Ichigyo-Zammai now. He broke the preparation into single tasks. First task, outline the presentation, nothing else. He sat down, set his timer, and wrote. Second task, build the demo. Third task, create projections. One thing at a time, complete absorption. The morning of the meeting, Marcus felt something he'd never experienced before. Calm confidence. Not because he knew everything would work out, but because he knew he'd done his absolute best. He'd been present for every moment of preparation. The meeting lasted 2 hours. The investor asked tough questions. Marcus answered clearly, without fumbling, without his mind racing ahead to worry about the next question. He was there, completely. At the end, the investor leaned back. Marcus, I've seen a lot of pitches. Most founders are good at talking. You're different. You're actually present. You listen. That's rare. I'm in. Marcus walked out of that building and called Mr. Yamamoto. It worked. Everything you taught me worked. The old man chuckled. No, Marcus, you worked. Ichigyo-Zammai is just a mirror. It showed you what you were always capable of when you stopped running from yourself.
Chapter 6. The Science. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. This sounds great, but is it actually backed by science, or is this just Zen philosophy? Let's talk facts. Dr. Amishi Jha, a neuroscientist at the University of Miami, has spent over 20 years studying attention. Her research shows that the average person's mind wanders 47% of the time. Nearly half your life, you're not present for your own experience. Her studies demonstrate that focused attention practices like Ichigyo-Zammai can reduce mind wandering by up to 40% in just 8 weeks. A 2024 study published in Nature Neuroscience found that sustained attention practices increase gray matter density in the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for executive function, decision-making, and impulse control. In other words, practices like Ichigyo-Zammai literally rebuild your brain's command center. Stanford researcher Dr. Andrew Huberman explains it this way. Every time you bring your wandering attention back to a single point of focus, you're strengthening the neural circuits for voluntary attention control. It's like doing a bicep curl for your brain. The more you do it, the stronger that muscle becomes. And here's the part that blew my mind. A meta-analysis of 47 studies showed that people who practice single-task focus have 50% better working memory and 35% faster information processing speeds compared to chronic multitaskers. They're not just more productive, they're literally smarter. But perhaps most importantly, research from UC Berkeley found that single-task presence practices reduce cortisol levels by an average of 28% and increase reported life satisfaction scores by 31%. This isn't just about getting more done, it's about being more alive. The modern world treats your attention as a commodity to be extracted. Every app, every notification, every algorithm is designed to fragment your focus and keep you scrolling. Ichigyo-Zammai is the antidote. It's you taking back control. Chapter 7. Marcus Today and Your Tomorrow. It's December 2026 now, and Marcus's app has 143 small business clients. He's hired a team of 4. He moved into his own apartment, but more than that, he rebuilt his relationship with his parents. Last week, his father pulled him aside. "I was wrong about you," he said quietly. "I thought you were lazy. I didn't understand. You weren't lazy, you were lost, and you found your way." Marcus still practices Ichigyo-Zammai every single day, not because he has to, because he's experienced what life is like without it, and he'll never go back. Here's what he told me when I interviewed him for this video. 2026 could have been the year I disappeared into distraction. Instead, it became the year I learned to be present, and that made all the difference. So let me ask you something. What would your life look like if you could eliminate distraction, not reduce it, eliminate it? What would you create? What relationships would deepen? What version of yourself would emerge? Because here's the truth that nobody wants to hear. You don't have an attention problem. You have a practice problem. Your brain is fine. It's just never been trained. Ichigyo-Zammai is that training. One task, complete presence. Notice when you drift, return, repeat. That's it. That's the entire technique. Start today, right now. Pick one thing you need to do. Set a timer for 25 minutes. Eliminate every distraction and be there completely. When your mind wanders, and it will, don't judge yourself. Just notice and come back. That's one rep. Do it again tomorrow and the next day. In 3 months, you'll be a different person. In 6 months, your life will be unrecognizable. I've seen it happen dozens of times now. People who were scattered becoming focused. People who were anxious becoming calm. People who were stuck becoming unstoppable. 2026 is almost over, but your transformation, that starts the moment you decide it does. If this video resonated with you, subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. I've got interviews with people who've used ancient techniques to completely transform their lives, and I think they'll blow your mind. Drop a comment telling me what you're going to apply Ichigyo-Zammai to first. Your work, your relationships, your health. I read every comment and I want to know. Remember, one thing at a time, complete presence. That's how you win 2026 and every year after. Be present, stay focused, build the life you actually want. I'll see you in the next one.